Hello, everybody, and welcome to Spark Reynolds, Spark Rental podcast and Facebook Live. Hi, Brian.
Hey, Denny. Happy Tuesday, everybody.
So, let us know when you pop in. Let us know where you're from, any questions you have, or a topic you might want to discuss, anything. And as we go along, please feel free to ask questions and whatnot, because we are definitely interactive. We're not just sitting here talking to each other, which we do way too much of anyway. And if you joined us last week, Brian talked to Brian Thorpe of Wealth Tender, and that was a really cool interview, Brian. I thought it was anyway. Today we're hosting an introduction to land investing, just a little bit of a lightning introduction. And land is a little bit different, right, Brian, than renting and than investing in rentals.
More than a little bit different. And Tara says hi. Hi, Tara. Yeah, so I don't think I'm the only landlord that feels this way, but I don't feel comfortable with the increasing regulation in the residential rental industry. Every time I turn around, it feels like the laws get more tenant friendly and less landlord friendly. And the eviction moratorium is a perfect example of how these sorts of tenant friendly policies can really disrupt your returns on your real estate investments.
Time.
So Denny and I want to talk today about land investing, and we're going to give a kind of lightning overview of how land investing works today. And then on Thursday at 2:00 Eastern, we are hosting a live webinar with the land geek himself, Mark Podolsky, who is truly the top land investing authority in the United States. I mean, he's basically synonymous with teaching land investing. So we are super excited to host this live webinar with him. He's going to walk you through exactly how he invests in land. He has made 7 figures in income from land, and he's created 6 figures in annual recurring income from land. So it's going to be a super exciting webinar. We're really excited about it.
Sorry, I was just saying that's truly passive income if you think about it. Land.
Yeah, well, you don't have to worry about things like repairs, right?
No, you're not going to fix your dirt. Yeah, you don't have to evict people, so we don't have to worry about an eviction moratorium on land. No repainting, no fixing up in a rental unit. All that stuff is gone.
Right, because if you think about the biggest headaches in residential real estate investing, they all have to do with the building itself, or the tenants that live there, or the laws that govern tenants that live there. So things like contractors and renovations, things like dealing with city permit inspectors on those renovations, right? Tenant turnovers, repainting the unit, new carpets, clean out, advertising vacant units, showing vacant units, signing leases with new tenants, the whole move-in process, collecting security deposits, and maybe having to hold that security deposit in a specific interest-bearing account. I mean, all of these headaches come down to there being a building that tenants live in. Tenants who may not pay, having to chase down non-paying tenants, having to evict tenants. I mean, I've had an eviction take 11 months before, and then the tenants trashed the house when I finally got them out. Or even tenants that pay. You can have dirty tenants. You can have sneaky tenants who move in their drug-dealing boyfriend.
Noise issues, having to get in between 2 tenants that are fighting.
Right. So all of the major headaches and hassles that come with real estate investing, it all has to do with people actually living in a building or maintaining that building itself. With land, you don't have any of those headaches. It's just dirt. So Denny, how does land investing work exactly if you don't have tenants who are paying you rent?
Well, in a nutshell, I mean, basically you are buying land that somebody is desperate to get rid of, and there's quite a bit of it actually out there. And because of that, you buy it fairly inexpensively. And then there's two things you can do. You can sell it outright for more money, so you make your money
Flipping
back
it.
quickly, flipping it.
Yeah.
Well, not that you're going to flip it in the sense of flipping a home, but but flipping it. And or the other one is actually becoming the financer of somebody who wants to purchase the land. So then you make double duty at that point.
Right, because you're earning not just your profits on selling the property at the lot at a profit margin, but you're also earning interest on the loan.
Right.
And the way this works actually, it's typical seller financing, but you don't have to actually change the property ownership until the person has paid you back, either in full or reached some certain milestone.
Which is a win-win, because if the person doesn't pay you, you don't have to go through the whole entire process of an eviction and all of that.
Right. You don't have the same regulations for raw land that you do in residential properties where people are actually living. And, then you mentioned that it's easy to get a good deal on land. And part of that is because people don't have a good sense of what land is worth, right? As opposed to a home that anyone can go on Zillow and get an estimate of the value pretty quickly and easily. Most people don't have a good sense of what plots of raw land are worth, even people who own that plot, right?
Right.
It might be an out-of-state investor, or it might be a neighbor who owns land that they're not using. People don't have a good sense of what it's worth. So you can score good deals easier than you think on raw land. And so speaking of which, Denny, how much do land parcels cost? I mean, what is this going to set investors back?
Well, I mean, as you can see, we have, well, we are involved in this, so we have been able to purchase parcels for as low as $1,500. Sometimes they can go even lower, but that's about the average low, and then they can go on up to about
Millions.
eight.
I
Well,
mean,
yeah, they can go millions if you
I
buy,
mean,
yeah.
yeah, you could buy hundreds of acres for millions of dollars, but you can buy parcels of land for as little as $100. So what that means for you, aside from being more affordable, it also means that financing is not necessary. So you don't have to mess around with banks and lenders. You can pay with cash, since we're talking about relatively small sums of money here. At least if you choose to invest in parcels that go for less money. So.
Tim Dooley says this sounds boring.
Well, that's the idea, because it's not sexy, right? This is not something that they're going to make TV shows about, right? You're not going to have flip this land. It is boring, and it doesn't. But boring is good when it comes to investments. It means you don't have to worry about those headaches, like tenants calling you at 3 a.m. and complaining that their light bulb burned out. So yeah, boring also keeps people away. Most people don't consider land investing
Hmm.
because it is boring and unsexy. They can't brag to all their friends about how they bought this cool vacation rental that they're going to be able to use 2 weeks out of the year or whatever. So the fact that land is boring is exactly why you can earn outstanding returns.
Right.
And when I say outstanding returns, what Mark will be teaching on Thursday at the 2 o'clock webinar will be how to earn 300% returns on a quick flip and up to 1,000% returns when you sell or finance lots over time.
Which
So
is crazy, crazy. And Paul Back says he's bought land for under 500 in established neighborhoods due to tax sales, and that is
yeah,
also something that we will be discussing with
yeah,
on
that's one
Thursday.
of the primary strategies that Mark Podolsky will be teaching on Tuesday at this webinar is how to buy lots that are in tax sale to really get them at a deep discount. And in particular, you're also working with a lot of sellers who don't necessarily want that land anymore if they let the taxes fall behind. They
A
may not
lot of
know how much
times
the land is worth.
families don't even realize they don't even realize they like it's like all in the back of their mind. They forget about it.
Right. Because land is boring, right?
Right. It's serious. Yep.
Yeah.
Funny.
So, Denny, can you share that link in the comments for where people can
I
register
can.
for the webinar on Tuesday? So it's 2 p.m.
Thursday, right?
I mean, Thursday. It's 2 p.m. Eastern on Thursday is when we're hosting the webinar with Mark Podolsky from the Land Geek. And it's a 90-minute webinar. It is 100% free. And he's going to walk you through everything you need to know about the process of buying land, why you want to buy land in the first place, what kind of returns you can expect to be earning on land, the strategy behind investing in land. So yeah, I mean, I guess before we wrap things up, one other common question that we hear about land is who actually buys land? So, if you were to go out and invest in a parcel of land, who are you going to then turn around and sell it to? And there are a few answers to that question. Denny, fill us in on who is actually buying these parcels of land from you when you buy a piece of land to turn around and flip it, to sell it immediately.
Often it is people who live in that neighborhood or near that parcel of land, so neighbors. Campers is a big one, or people who like to do ATV or stuff like that, and they want a big parcel of land. And some people who just want to build a, custom home and buy a piece of land for that. And other investors.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, it's a diverse group of people who are potential buyers for raw land, and it also depends on where you're buying. We have bought pieces of land that are in neighborhood developments in Florida, for example. So the kind of people who buy those lots are people who plan to actually build a house on them and then move into it.
Right.
We also have bought a couple pieces of land in Nevada, and those are more used by outdoor enthusiasts, dirt bikers, hikers and campers and that sort of thing. Ranchers even, people might want to feed their cattle on the land, or whatever. So there are a lot of different potential buyers, and some of that depends on where you are investing in land. And on Thursday, for this webinar at 2 p.m., Mark will talk about some of those strategies and how to pick areas to invest in land. So that is
Right.
something that we'll go over on Thursday as well.
And Tara mentions that some people also have land that they don't want because it was inherited, and basically just hands it right off. So that's definitely another one.
Because it's boring.
it's
Right.
boring, but it makes
Yeah.
money. So yeah, boring can be good.
Boring can be a competitive advantage as a real estate investor, and that is really the crux behind land investing, is that not that many people are doing it because it's not
Right.
exciting. They don't know about it. They don't understand how it works. So I actually think that this is a perfect moment in history, in the wake of an eviction moratorium that showcases just how much residential real estate regulation can hurt investors. I truly think this is the right moment to be investing in land.
And if nothing else, if you still have like a lot of rentals, obviously you want to keep them, they're doing well, but this is a great way to diversify, to keep things
Absolutely.
balanced.
Yeah, diversification is the name of the game in any kind of investing, whether you're talking about real estate, stocks, bonds, any type of investment. Diversification is key for risk management. And Paul Bax says, often you can find the land on the tax assessor website, and there is no family to worry about. Yeah, exactly, Paul. You don't have to worry about evictions or foreclosures or any of that. It's basically an unregulated industry, which for someone who leans a little libertarian and distrusts the government, no regulation is great. And Paul also says, my situation was unique since the land was across from my home, which I now rent. Now, if I do sell the home, I can include the land with the selling point, you'll have no neighbors. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, exactly. So there are always buyers for land, even though those buyers might have different motivations for it. And that's a great point right there, Paul, that some people want as much space as possible with neighbors as far away as possible. So
that's what I want
and
someday.
Tara says you can make such great profits easily. And it's true. I mean, because no one's in this space. So, all right. Denny, anything else that you want to bring up about land investing before we wrap it up and call it quits until our Thursday 2 p.m. webinar?
Just that I just think it's come to the webinar because you're going to get a lot of tips and free tips and little things to learn that a lot of people don't know. So tricks of the trade.
Yeah, and Denny and I are not expert land investors. We are relatively new at land investing. Mark Podolsky is the land investor.
Yes,
I mean, his Land Geek company is the oldest land investing education service in the United States. They've been doing this for a long time, and he is truly the land investing authority. So we're very glad and grateful to have him teaching this free 90-minute webinar for you guys. Once again, Thursday, 2 o'clock Eastern. And there is a link in the comments where you can register for that webinar. We're super excited to see you guys there.
absolutely.
All right.
All
Well, on
right.
that note, we're going to wrap things up. And we will see you at 2 o'clock Eastern on Thursday for the joint webinar with Mark Podolsky of the Land Geek.
Absolutely. Any questions, just reach out to us.
That's right. All right. We'll see you then.
Bye-bye.